What's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Leggett here representing Team JVS. I am back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. Now, this is another one of Amazon Prime's premieres. They got a couple different things in the woodworks, but the last thing that we've probably seen is Jack Ryan, 2 seasons. John Krasinski's done an amazing job with that. But this is a specific film, and this is a notable character to the Tom Clancy series in John Kelly. Are the names wrong? What's going on with that? I know a lot of you guys have questions. This is not the time to answer them because this is a non-spoiler review. But this is starring Michael B. Jordan, Jodie Turner-Smith, Jamie Bell, Guy Pearce, as well as Laura London and Jacob Spilicio, as well as some other notable names, which I don't want to mention at this current time. But let's go ahead and just kind of break down what this is about. John Clark, a Navy SEAL, goes on the path to avenge his wife's murder, only to find himself inside a larger conspiracy. Now, this character, as I said, he's been played before. William Dafoe's played his character in Clear and Present Danger, as well as Liv Schreiber also played him in Some of Our Fears. In that one, I believe Jack Ryan was played by Ben Affleck, which is actually one of my favorites because I believe that Morgan Freeman was also in that film. But this is being directed by Stefano Sollima. The last thing that he directed as far as the series is 000. That is also on Amazon Prime, so definitely go and check that out. But he also directed the sequel to Sicario as well. But let's kind of just break this down. What did I think about this actual film? So for me personally, I kind of had like a lot of hype building behind this film because initially I was kind of like, I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, like he's got a wife and like she's pregnant and he's military and he's trained. And so I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is going to be kind of like him going overseas. And no, like, yo, this man is a tactician. One of the first amazing scenes that I see is him kind of underwater. One person gets shot, then the other person to the right gets shot. And you're just like, did this man do it by himself? Like, what is really going on? And the style of the action and the progression of how each battle sequence is actually shot and delivered, I think is really good. As far as when I think about like a military ex-Navy SEAL or a Navy SEAL in this situation, I think that they execute most of the scenes with Michael B. Jordan as well as his team very well. I think each scene was shot pretty well, enough that I was like, this could be this is going to be on a movie scale. Like I could believe this would be something in the theaters that I would actually watch and be intrigued by. One of the things that I think is the strength of this film is the world building. Like if you're a Tom Clancy fan and you love the progression of where things can go with this world, not necessarily this specific character or this specific story, I think that the progression of the weight behind all of it is very engaging. Like that is the thing to me that gets me really excited for this film, because there are extra sequences after the movie is over with. There are some amazing callbacks, and if you read on any of Tom Clancy's books, or if you played the games, for me it's more so the games. Like I don't want to name the games because I feel like it'll be a spoiler, but let's just say this world is not done yet by any means necessary. And I think that definitely Michael B. Jordan does have the charisma. We know he can do the action, but can he play a military type character? I think that this one actually showcased him very well. Like he was very calculative and at the same time very stern. But then when the lines are crossed, as far as crossing his family, that's when he becomes something completely different. Now, this is a positive and a negative. For the progression of the story, it works for every action beat. Like you're like, oh man, the intensity is building, it's building. It's not on that John Wick kind of level. It's not anything like that. But I feel like this movie is going to be compared to Law Abiding Citizen. If you've never seen Law Abiding Citizen, that's Gerald Butler, his wife, and his daughter. Like they were not only killed and raped right in front of him, but he was left for dead right there with him. And the people that did it didn't go to jail. They got taken off, and then he went on his excursion to hunt them down and kill them one by one. And he does it in the most amazing and terrible kind of way possible. And I think that for me, I was kind of going like, oh man, he's about to do some stuff. Don't don't be so fixated on that, because that's not necessarily what this narrative is going to give you. It's going to show him very quickly going, and all of a sudden, like, he's just very hyper, like, this is the way I feel about this. This is the way I feel about this. Is my ideals. And I think that was written incorrectly. I think it doesn't justify like some of the actions that he says in his verbiage. It's understandable and it progresses the story, but it just doesn't fit. Like, there's also a character in Jamie Bell's character. Jamie Bell's character in the very early stages of this, you're kind of trying to gauge like what kind of a man is, his character, Robert. And for me, it was kind of like, I don't know about Robert. I don't know if I can get behind who he actually is, nor do I trust Robert off gate. And so you're kind of torn as to, are you supposed to, look at him one way or another? And sometimes it's kind of really confusing. And it's not even like a misdirect or anything like that. It's just some of the actions and the things and the verbiage in the very beginning towards the back half. It's like polar opposites, and it's just jumps very quickly. And that's one of the things I'm wondering in my head, is that could this have been better serviced as a 4-episode show as opposed to a movie? I get it, because it does work and function very well from a world building standpoint as a movie to springboard anything else that they're going to do with this. But for his character specifically, I kind of was just like, I don't really know, because he very much so clashes with John very early on. And you're kind of left with like, I don't know. But then, yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere from that point. So that's where I'm kind of like torn with his character. And then there's another character played by Jodie Turner, and Karen. And Karen is more so like, you don't really know who she is in connection to John. And also, I think the trailers are kind of misleading to that. But you find out she's more his superior officer that's kind of like looking for his back, kind of like his guardian, trying to look out for him, a fellow soldier, But it's kind of like with her character, I kind of was a little confused by her character as well. Like, it's not that Jamie or Jodie play the characters wrong. It's just the way that they're written, they kind of progress really quickly, and they make misguided decisions that don't service the story necessarily sometimes. But again, that doesn't take away from the narrative necessarily. It's more so that in this context, I didn't really get behind, and it didn't work as far as the line delivery with some of these. But again, I think the director places them very well against each other and with each other. I think that a lot of the action scenes are shot really well. They're positioned really well. They're sometimes very unbelievable action scenes towards the third act, but very believable second and first act action sequences, like very believable. I was kind of like, this is awesome. Like, especially with a lot of the naval base action moments, that I was kind of like, I need more. Give me more of this, because all of that, I was like, just rallying behind the team. I was all for that throughout most of the film. I think that Laura London does a really good job as John Clark's wife. I think that they definitely have that connection together. Like, it's a kind of believable relationship, as well as why he feels the way he does so seriously, so sternly, like given the circumstances of what happened to her and with her, which I kind of was like, it may have been better if the trailers never showed it, because if I even caught by surprise with that, I think that would have made so much more. It doesn't take away from the effectiveness of it. Now, one thing that I would say is an interesting standout was Jacob Sipko, who plays the role of Hatchet. If you don't know him, he was in the last Bad Boys film, played, I don't want to actually spoil it, but he played one of the main character's sons. And I think that he did an amazing job, that I was kind of like, I need to see more of what they're going to do with his story. But anyway, as far as the whole narrative, I think that as a film, it was entertaining. Like, I felt like it was enough that I was like, I really want to see more of the world. I think it was acted well enough that I kind of wasn't like taken off from it. But at the same time, I wasn't like necessarily like, I'm gonna immediately go and see this movie all over again. Again, you have characters like Guy Pearce's character, who was very engaging, very I was interested to see where his character was gonna go or what he was all about, because he plays the secretary. But again, I don't know if it necessarily worked to the whole narrative necessarily. And that's why I'm really torn with this film, which I didn't think I would be, because all in my head I was going, the action was good, the world building. I feel like, honestly, I care more about the world building than I do about this specific film. I will go back and watch this again to make sure I don't miss any of the world building spots, because I care more about what happens next. I care what happens more about the world next, especially if this potentially, in my personal opinion, it's almost like they should connect this immediately to John Krasinski's Jack Ryan. I think that would be an easy pull to take what happens in the events of this film and carry that over, especially when you think about some of the background characters and what's really actually happening. Now, I will say, again, the action is actually really dope. This is one of the craziest scenes in the movie, and they spoiled it in the trailer, but it don't take away from the effectiveness, because Michael B. Jordan like delivers it in spades. And I think that this is a engaging moment to show you this is what this man is really about. Another sequence, again, with this right here, this battle sequence, I was just like, oh, snap, what is really about to go down? So I think from an entertainment standpoint, you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to have fun with it. All the details and stuff like that, as far as me fleshing this out as a critic, I mean, those are not necessary to ponder. I'm just giving you the nitty gritty about my feelings towards this film, Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. I think that you'll have enough fun with it and engagement with it. And also, like, you're going to tie yourself to some of these characters that you're going to want to see more of this world. If I can't say anything else, you're going to want to see more of this world. And I think that that's the most important thing to garner. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to rest this at a 7 out of 10. Would I watch this again? I would definitely watch this again with my wife, and I would watch it again to see where the world expands to. And I think that is the most important thing from this film, that this film was able to give me as a Tom Clancy fan, even though some of the decisions of the character motivations and some of the pacings to the progression of some of the characters didn't necessarily make sense, but it works in the service of this film. And also there's some emotional moments. There are some really heavy emotional moments, but I think that if it would have been able to relax a little bit, the effectiveness would have hit and haunted a lot better, much along the lines of Law Abiding Citizen. Anyway, keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Talk to you guys soon. Peace, guys.